time. Hi, Lee. Hi, Teach. Oh, you are listening to the main title. Shogun. Welcome, first time listener, Lee. Come on up. So I know we are on a What We Watch Wednesday, and it's also NBA playoff time. So this is exciting. If you have it on in the background, that's fine with me too. Really excited to talk about the best show on television. It's over now. And people are already talking about season two, which we'll get there, but no. The answer is no. Um, and we'll get into why. Tej, welcome.
Thank you. Excited to chat about this show. I'm sad it's over.
Yeah, very sad it's over. Who else has joined us? So we'll just tweet it out. Do you have the playoffs on in the background?
Yes, but the first game, this is actually perfect timing because the first game is ending. So it's like get people right before the next game starts. But yeah, I have it on the background.
I think OKC is playing right now, but
Yeah, that's the game I care about. I didn't watch any of the Boston game.
you care about the OKC game.
Yeah, I would have watched the Boston game, but I just assumed it was gonna be a sweep, but apparently Boston lost, so maybe I should have watched.
I mean, I text the group chat. I just need my Heat to win, and we're in. So we are talking Crimson Sky to the finale. We did talk, I think, after the first two or three episodes, right? Was it, Teach? 2 to 3 episodes?
Yeah, then we talked after. Didn't we talk after five?
And X is a very, very hating ass app, extremely hating. And I don't think it recorded that perfect discussion, but that's okay because we're back today, April 24th, on a What We Watch Wednesday to talk about Shogun. So honestly, let's jump right into it. Tweet it out to your friends and let them know. Please tap on the mic in the bottom left, I believe it's on your screens, if you want to come up and chat. Teach, my resident plot summary, brief synopsis of the finale with very little spoilers. Kick us off. Episodes 9 and 10 of this amazing limited series.
9 and 10.
Yes, give us like a
Okay.
run through of what happened.
So at the beginning of nine, we get a flashback with we basically see how Mariko, she's like wants to die obviously because she doesn't really have a direction or purpose, and she feels shameful about her family and what happened to her dad. So she gets in the room with our he's the Catholic priest guy. I think his name is Frank. And that we have a scene where basically we see them being introduced, and it's kind of the beginning of Mariko finding religion. At this point, she wasn't a Christian; she was at her lowest, and Christianity and Catholicism specifically gave her a sense of purpose. And I think there's even a line to end that flashback where it's something like it's something like literally says something about purpose. So obviously, we know that that's what's keeping her driving, keeping her going. She's on her way to Osaka with the rest of our crew, which is uh, our resident Spaniard slash Englishman, and also Yabashige. They're going to Osaka, and they all kind of have different things that they're supposed to be doing, but Mariko's not really telling them why she's traveling to Osaka specifically. So they do a great job of hiding what her actual job is or what her purpose is and what she's been sent there by Toranaga to do. And everybody else is kind of grappling with that. And obviously, Blackstone wants to know, why is she going to Osaka? What are your orders? And she kind of doesn't share them with him. They're also making kissy face at each other because obviously the episode before, in episode 8, they were he basically did the most romantic thing possible in this world, which was he agreed to be her second and finish killing her. So they're feeling very close, but she's still holding this from him. They get to Osaka, and basically, in this amazing scene, faces the council and basically delivers the
Okay, you
news.
just spoke out of chronology, I believe.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did I miss?
I think you talked about the seconding before it actually came. The seconding came a little later in that episode, didn't it?
Fill it in.
I think when he offered to second her, a lot of that already happened. They'd already been in Osaka.
Yeah, no, I said that happened in 8. We're at 9 now, so 9's already on their way to. Wait, did I mess up the order?
No, he didn't second her in 8. I think that was 9. Somebody come up and correct us if I'm wrong.
Okay, you're right. No, you're right. You're
Yeah, he
totally right.
second. Yeah, he. That's the same episode, and it happened later in the
Sorry,
series.
sorry. So they're going.
That's
They're on
why it
their.
was called Crimson Sky. Yeah.
Yes, you're right. So they're on their way to Osaka. She has this very heartfelt scene with her son, where her son is basically tired of the family being shamed and basically saying, like, if you don't stop this, if you don't just submit and do what the council wants you to do, then you are. I'm not going to be your son anymore. And she still
Mhm.
stays resolute in her purpose. And when she sits with the council is basically telling her that she needs to stay in Osaka because she delivered the news that Toranaga was going to surrender and he's going to come to Osaka to surrender. However, in probably the most amazing scene in the entire show, she is forceful and she keeps telling them that she wants to leave Osaka. She's going to leave tomorrow. And if she cannot be allowed to leave, it would be shameful to her lord. So, she's got to be allowed to leave. Her lord has told her that she can leave.
And
Ishdo,
if I may interject, because we're talking about my favorite episode of the season right now, and we're talking about my girl Mariko. So what I was especially impressed by, outside of her perfect performance, was that this character development for Mariko Sama was phenomenal from beginning to end. Initially, we get, the beauty and the intrigue of Mariko Sama, right? And then it kind of the show sprinkles in a bit of her intelligence as being a translator and a servant to Lord Toranaga, right? And then it goes on, and we understand that she has like some tragedy behind her family, right? This is 10 episodes, and we're getting this like dynamic, in-depth experience with Mariko Sama. Then we understand like a little bit about her how why she's in the position that she's in for Lord Toranaga, as well as being a wife to Buntaro, which is a very highly revered, I guess, samurai or warrior in this place. So we're just already there's so much color in this character. And then Crimson Sky, which is alluded to previously by Lord Toranaga as a war, right? All of you here, let me know when you heard Crimson Sky, it's like blood flying around. Was that just me? Because that's what it sounded like to me. Tej, what did it sound like to you?
yeah, I think that it's a very smart way to title the episode because we were
Yes.
given the Crimson Sky. That means, it's wartime. And
It's
this was
wartime.
a totally different kind of war in a different way. And that's just being on top of it in terms of how you name the episode. It's really good.
Exactly. And I think, right, we were expected to see an action external war, bloodshed and all that kind of stuff, which we've already seen plenty of. So it would not have been a departure from the episode or from the show itself as a whole. But then we see the real war, which, Lord Tornaga in episode 10, and we'll let Tej talk about episode 10, but he alludes to that by saying, I sent a woman to do what an army never could, right? Which is so profound. And as a woman that, founded what we watch and is just like so in love with film and television, that's the type of screenwriting I like. As a screenwriter, that's the type of shit I like. But going back to Mariko, so what was so amazing to me about episode 9 was that we had all this color around this character, and then she starts talking her shit. Like, Tej, we were there, we were like, hold on, like, talk your shit then, girl. She was like, now, what I won't, when you keep, oh, okay.
It's pretty amazing, how she's able to stand up for herself in that scene. But I agree that her performance is mind blowing, and that was her big moment in that big scene. And I was blown away by it. It's just perfectly
Am
written
I,
and perfectly acted.
Am I echoing to anyone? Raise your hand. Give me a heart or whatever. Am I echoing to you, Teach?
You echo when I talk, and you're not muted because it's feeding back your phone.
Okay. So I am
So when you,
echoing for some of you.
well,
I'm
just
actually
when you're
hearing
not.
more of the
Yeah.
echo coming from Tej, actually.
It's Teach.
Yeah, I'm not hearing on your end.
Okay, so right now there's no echo.
Right now there's no echo now.
Okay. Teach, you talk.
I still hear the echo. You have to be muted when you're not talking, and then the echo goes away, I believe. See, now there's no echo. Yes, that's what the echo is.
Yep. Hey, Teach.
What's good, Lester?
Okay, so if he's muted while I'm speaking, is there an echo?
No, it's gone now.
Okay, perfect. And so what I would just wrap it up with the Mariko Sama, because that's really what Crimson Sky was about. We got her talking her shit, right? And it was finally like we piece all of the all of the character development together, everything we found out about her tragedy, her family, her marital status, her knocking the boots with Blackthorn. We'll get there. Yuck. Number one gripe. Although they kind
Okay,
of
well,
got
hold on now. Hold on.
because they kind of got me. All right, they
Hold
made
on. Hold on now.
mm-mm.
We'll get there when we
they.
get there.
It wasn't until episode 10 that I was convinced, guys. It took a whole 10 episodes. But what I will say is that I was standing up and screaming at the television like it was the Super Bowl when she started talking her shit, because this was the last bit of a character that we did not get to see. When you standing on business, you talking your heavy shit, you're reminding people who the fuck you are and where the fuck you came from. That's what I like. So, anyways, please, Tej, continue. Yes, 100 emoji me, because that was invigorating. That scene, the reason why that was one of the best scenes, Tej, I agree with you, was because we saw this character up and down, ebbs and flows, at her weakest, at her strongest. And then here we get this, like, oh, please don't get it twisted, bitches. You will let me finish speaking. And I think that was so beautiful because they used Ishido and the council in that moment. This is the highest power that we've seen the whole time. What has Lord Toranaga-sama been fighting this whole time? This tricky council that keeps trying to, pigeonhole him into things. And now Mariko-sama is the first one to talk heavy to them. It's brilliant. But go ahead. Teach, keep going with the
It
Crimson
it.
Sky.
So after that, okay, you got to mute. Don't forget to mute.
Oh,
So after that, we have this scene. So basically, she tells them, "I'm leaving tomorrow." They basically tell her, You're not leaving tomorrow," and that kind of ends the meeting. So she's going through the day, and basically, oh, sorry, I left out part. She says at the end of the scene, "Okay, fine, I'll stay, but that means I can't obey my master's order, so I have to commit seppuku because of what I have aggrieved my master. Y'all didn't let me go do what I had to do, so I'm going to commit seppuku tomorrow. Everybody's going to know this. If you don't let me leave, I'm going to commit seppuku tomorrow." Go ahead.
no, I was just saying, like, then there is Crimson Sky, but keep going. Because she said specifically, I will commit seppuku at sunset. So, yeah.
Ah. So then she says, so at that point, everybody's trying to figure out, okay, there's a standoff now. Either you're going to kill yourself or you're going to try to leave and they won't. So she's like, okay, I'm just going to leave. And what she's trying to show everybody else in this castle who are also hostages is you're not free to leave. And if everybody sees them stop me from leaving, then everybody knows that they are prisoners. And that's just one perfect writing. I love the way that they set that up, but also two, it's just a very uh, interesting dilemma because then obviously she's got to have these conversations with Blackthorn, who is horrified once she realizes the predicament that she's in and realizes why she was sent by Tornaga to be here. He realizes it, and obviously he doesn't want her to die because he's in love with her. So he is now in the position where he's trying to convince her to take, find like don't push this, and he doesn't really understand still because the whole time he doesn't really understand what life and death mean to these people, let alone to this woman. And she basically tells him in a very heartfelt scene, like we live and we die, and there are things that we can accomplish in both living and both dying. And he says, I think he said, you would walk against the blade of a sword to test if it's sharp. And basically she's saying, yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do because I have to show people.
Right.
So
essentially like, are you new here? Everybody's been doing that this entire show. Everybody's been doing that in this entire war. And, you know, I appreciate that synopsis because it reminded me why I hated the Blackthorn Mariko Sama romance so much. And we're going to talk about it. I'm not going to go into it right now. But I do want to let, and if you want to wrap it up, Teach, so that I can let Jess and Lusty speak. And anybody else that wants to come up, please come up and chat. This is a community chat. I'm just here to facilitate and give y'all my bars because y'all know I do this. But yeah, go ahead, Jess and Lusty. You making me call you
Oh,
Lusty is crazy, but go ahead.
my fault. You just call me Luster. Hey, how y'all doing? Is it echoing for y'all?
What's good? Yes, Mo has. There you go. Now you go.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. For letting me come up. I just had a few things to say about Lord Toranaga. He is a 5'3" fraud. He ain't no lord. They can keep season 2 away from me and my samurais. If I was John Blackstone, I would have shot him in the third episode when he kept asking me. What was it? The third episode when he kept asking him to dive off the boat. I don't know, but Buntaro and John, they need to jump his ass. And this man, he trades lives like they Pokemon cards. Like he has no respect for his clan and his people.
Hold on,
He is just sacrificing
you're a
people.
Buntaro stan?
That's not fair.
You're a
I'm not,
Buntaro
but like
stan?
I'm not a fan of his work or his the way he treated Mariko, Big Mariko, R.I.P. But he played with that woman's life. He played with that husband's wife.
Just
Like she was
just
trash.
just so you know, this is what we watch, and I just want to make sure that this is stamped, Luster. We will be calling her Big Mariko. Okay, not the little one. Okay,
Big
keep going.
Mariko.
Big Mariko, not
Big
the little
Toto.
one. Okay, keep going.
But yeah, he played with these people's lives like they chump change just to further his own his own game. And I ain't like that, especially at the end where he's like, why would I tell a dead man like my plans, blah blah blah. I'm like, that's nasty as hell.
He barred that man up.
I
That
want
was a bar, but we move. We move.
to go. I want to. I like this criticism of our Lord Tornaga Sama. Tornaga Sama. Oh, I like
He ain't my lord.
I like the way I like where we're going with this, but I'm gonna let Jess speak because I like this. I'm okay with this Tej. I didn't think we were prepared for this Tej, but I'm into it
Yeah, that's
because I, I think I might be the only one that really didn't like that we didn't get what we all thought we would get from Toranaga Sama. Maybe I was the only one ready to get what I wanted to get. Maybe I had my own, horny, desires. Maybe I just had my own fantasies. Who knows? But I really wanted to see my guy. Anyways, go ahead, Jess.
So, well, first and foremost, this is a show. My goodness, Shogun was like big Shogun, not the little one. This was crazy. In terms of season two, I've heard that the writers and the directors are not actually going to be doing a second season. Um, I think they're just gonna leave it. They're gonna leave it at these 10 episodes. And honestly, I'm not mad at it. Now I don't know. You know what I'm saying? What we were expecting from Lord Toranaga. I don't know what lusty fantasies we had going on in
You
the
didn't
chatter
want to.
and
You didn't want to
but
see him cutting people up in costume.
see, but here's the thing though, because I actually disagree. I think we got exactly what we
No,
were
I
supposed
wanted
to get.
that.
I
That's
I
what I
think he
wanted.
was he was brilliant from the jump. That he had these people running in circles. And I mean, he dropped the mask when he killed Homeboy. He said, first and foremost, no, I'm not going to tell you. Like, why am I telling a dead man the future? I'm running my little section of Japan, like, and it's up. And by the way, Blackbird, he's not leaving Japan. Also, I just don't think that's not in the plans for my guy. Like, I think from the jump, we kind of got a sense that he was playing chess when everyone around him was playing checkers. I
Oh,
don't I
really?
don't know how much he played with Marco's life, given the fact that she was kind of ready to die uh, almost like from the time that you meet this awesome, beautiful character. Um, And he knew what he was doing when he sent her, right? Because and that's why I think before, he sent her on that trip, he said, "Okay, well, are you ready? Like, it's going down. Like, it is what it is." His homeboy who committed seppuku, like, to make it believable, like, the fact that to make Blackthorn believe that his boat was destroyed, he
His
was
vassal.
beheading people all across. Like, he was literally killing people, knowing that this was all a ruse. Like, I don't know. I think like homeboy was clearly playing chess all across this show when everyone else is playing checkers, and that finale was chef's kiss. Like, I don't know how you can hate on Tornaga. That was crazy.
I did not think we were gonna get to the Tornaga hating segment this fast. But here's the thing, I'm okay with it. Honestly, I'm okay with it. Jess, I respect everything you said. I think as a what we watch pillar, everything, and I do mean everything, is a romance. I think I've had maybe one movie challenge me on that. I forget which movie it was, Teach. One movie has challenged me on that. But no television show has been able to challenge me, including Shogun, which is okay. So we talked about this in the last thing, and we're gonna say it again. Did everyone raise a show of hands? Give me an emoji. It's in the bottom right hand corner with the heart and the plus sign in your app. Did you get Game of Thrones feels? It's a yes or no question. Did you get the Game of Thrones feels? Yes or no? Give me a something. Luster, I don't like your thumbs down. You didn't watch Game of Thrones, just say that. Lee,
Oh no, we
Henry,
big Jon Snow over here. This
okay.
Snow Country.
Okay. Henry, Lee, those of you in the audience, super daughter, because we're not going to do this House of Cards succession thing. It's what we're not going to do. We're not doing that. I can respect it. I see daughter is like, no, I disagree. Okay, so I got a couple outsiders. If you're not, it's Cap. If you don't get the Game of Thrones feels, and it's Cap. But what I will say is that the reason why we loved Game of Thrones, it's a laundry list, quite frankly. But we enjoy the dialogue, the shock, the amazing acting. Shout out to Anna Sawai and the lady who played, and the woman who played Lady Ochiba. That was probably one of my favorite perspectives and aspects of Crimson Sky, but we'll get back to that. But there's numerous reasons. We have so many different storylines in Game of Thrones. And so now that the show is over, I think I can give a little bit of credence and respect to the fact that it's hard to compare a 7-season Game of Thrones to one limited 10 episode series. However, the dynamic in which we have people overtaking fiefdoms and, characters fucking each other behind their backs, other characters killing each other, other characters committing suicide in the names of their lords, and really just fantastic production, set design. I mean, we're talking great dialogue, just through and through. Pacing was amazing. I wasn't sure what was going on between the fourth and fifth episodes. But that was a very fleeting feeling for me. I was like, actually, no, like, take me gently through all of this. And Tej, you can probably speak to a few of the moments where maybe you felt like, okay, where are we going with this? But I want to talk about the romance, right? The what we watch pillar, which everything is a romance, remember that. And really kind of dive into how episodes 9 and 10 were strictly about romance. Romance between Blackthorn and Mariko, yuck. Romance between Lord Toranaga and his fiefdom, or his, areas of Japan. Just all types of romance between love and death and family, and just kind of respect and reverence for the swords and the people that you serve, and dying for your country. It's all been amazing. But go ahead, Teach.
First of all, I really have to defend Tornaga. Now, I will agree that when he was cutting those people's heads off just to play this game with Blackthorn to see if he was like worthy, I thought that was some bullshit, and that was very regrettable for my guy Tornaga to do. However, in sacrificing those characters that we have seen, he literally saved countless thousands of people from dying by avoiding a war. He said from the beginning, I don't want to be Shogun. I don't seek power. I don't actually want that. And we all thought, and I thought it was Cap too. We all thought it was Cap. We said this dude want to be Shogun. This show is literally called Shogun. He bought this fly ass suit to attend to be Shogun. Why would you buy that fly ass suit if you're not trying to be Shogun? So
Why would
obviously,
you buy that fly ass suit and threaten motherfuckers and not do that? Go ahead.
and what he showed us the whole time is that he was telling the truth in that aspect. He did everything he could to avoid war, but stand on business at the same time because he knew what was right. People going behind the people going behind his back, people hating on him. Yabashige is in his actual clique, and he treating them bad. He know from the beginning. So all everything that he did shows you that he was trying to avoid war at all costs. And despite the fact that there were people who had to die in this conflict, he did just that. He avoided war. He saved thousands of people, and he kept the realm at peace. And I think that that's important. Now, I do want to shout out, like you said, the scenes with Ochiba and Mariko, them being childhood friends, gives us these perfect 2 or 3 scenes where they have these conversations with each other, and it's just those scenes are so gripping, and that to me that is Game of Thrones right there. There are two people in a room having a conversation, and it could be the most gripping shit ever because of how large the stakes are. When it's really just two people in a room talking. Blackthorn is there because he has to be there, but we know that these two are having a conversation with these two people, and it feels like the biggest things in the world. And this show has been showing us the entire time what life is like for women at a time like this and how little power they have. So for these very powerful women to be having these kind of conversations on screen, destroying shit, doing long monologues to each other. These two actors are going back and forth. They're both going crazy. That is monumental. And for our Monaco, who is the main character of the show, we didn't know she was the main character when we first started watching the show, but she's the main character of the show. Tornaga even says, instead of sending my army over to Osaka, I sent one woman there. I sent one woman there. Imagine how powerful this woman has to be able to send one woman there and go through that sacrifice and be able to save thousands upon thousands of people. That was her purpose. That's why God kept her here. That she finally realized this is my purpose, and I'm not going to. If I want to die, I can die, but I can die for a purpose as opposed to dying just because I don't want to live anymore. And that is one of the coolest redemption arcs I've ever seen on TV. That's just the coolest thing ever.
Exactly. Extremely well said. And I want to hold on that how she died, right? Spoiler alert, we lose our girl, okay? But it's beautiful, right? And I love that you said that. Like, we didn't know that Mariko was the main character, is the main character of this entire story. Because I think eventually going into episode 10 and like seeing the finale, it was like, this is actually just a really beautiful story about the rise and fall of different, fiefdoms, right? It's just a beautiful story. There's no like necessarily any real triumph. The triumph is in avoiding additional lives, but it's so contradicting, and it's such a juxtaposition from the rest of the show, which where we see people killing themselves like it's nothing. Like we order a bag of candy in the theater, they're like, ah shit, you know what? I lied to you, Teach. Let me kill myself. Like it's insane to watch that, but to see that the end of like everything that everybody that died, everything that it wasn't for nothing, but it was just like this is what it takes to get to peace. Lives will still be lost, and I think Mariko's character embodies all of that beauty in the show. I mean, we're talking like as a screenwriter, number one, it is extremely difficult to write a limited series. Number one, you'll get people like, oh, what about season two? And what about this? And what about that? Outside of the industry stuff, we're talking about condensing Game of Thrones into one 10-episode season. And of course, I don't compare it to Game of Thrones to dilute it or take away from it. It's a very standalone show to me. But just I use Game of Thrones as a reference because of the pop cultural like kind of understanding and experience that we all had basically as a freaking nation and world. But I think what was so important about Mariko's character that embodied the entirety of the show, to your point, Tej, is like this is a redemption arc, but it's not a redemption arc that particularly includes revenge. It's a redemption arc that shows you the value of life and death and that women have autonomy in it. Through an entire show, an entire time where women did not have that power, right? And so this is like this underlying theme and this underlying like story where we meet the woman that's head of the like the consorts and things like that. You know, forgive me for getting names wrong and things, but we have her and she has her moment to like burn a stick to talk to Lord Toranaga. That's when I knew the tides were turning. But Mariko literally embodied and was the epitome of like what does it mean to live and to die. And the only thing that is like I have control over it. So we see where she's a servant to Lord Toranaga. She's a servant to a wife. She is, you know, basically damned as a because of her family. But then in the moments that it matters, in the moments that you could send an army of men that will just be brute and, you know, just blindly support whomever, you send a woman that challenges the gender norms, that challenges the power dynamics, right? Just with her beauty and grace and power, and shout out to Anna So I Still. But we get that, and in the last parts of the show, she has the autonomy over how and when she dies. And women don't get any autonomy ever, including how you die. Her husband came to her Buntaro and was like, hey, I think we should die together right now. And she was like, you still don't get it. You still don't understand what I'm saying. Yes, I want to die. I don't want to live in this terrible world anymore. But I want to have that power to have autonomy. And this is really just a story about women's autonomy. It it was beautiful. Like I said, this is why I have a little bit of an issue with Blackthorn. But you know what? Women's autonomy means you can fuck whoever you want as well. I'll leave it at that. Go ahead, Jess.
Nice alley. No, so well, first and foremost, Tej, I wanna we gotta have a conversation here. I just want to address first and foremost your comment about believing Toranaga when he said he didn't want to be Shogun. I walked away from this limited series feeling the exact opposite, but here's what makes him him. I believe what he was really saying is like Osaka and the little council of clowns y'all got going on over there, I want no parts of that. So let me build my paradise in Edu. Let me do my thing. Okay, let me bend the wind to my will in that direction so I can make a paradise over there. Let me send Big Marco, not the little one, to expose that everybody up in that joint are prisoners. Y'all are not as safe as you think you are. Let me just crumble a little bit of that clown show over there, and start to rule and reign on my side. That little smirk on his face before he kills his betrayer, and says, "Yeah, why am I going to tell you the future?" As he looks out on Blackthorn trying to build the ship he's going to destroy in like a year or two. I walked away from that being like, no, no, no. Like I agree that this. I think the idea that there's a beautiful exploration of like the role and the power of women and the secret society of influence that goes beyond the eyes of men. um I love that. Chef's kiss to that. Like I totally agree. And the minute that Toranaga put her on that boat to like, reunite with her friend, her sister, in the midst of all the politics and the drama and whose dad was whose and who's the samurai and who, like all that stuff, like the flashbacks in episode 8, I want to say 7 or 8, when you kind of get a sense of their childhood. You knew immediately like Marco was going to be, the Achilles heel to this plan. You knew that she was going to shake the table, and my God, she shook the table. So like I totally love that assessment, but I disagree completely. If you walk away from Shogun thinking that Toranaga does not want to be Shogun, and if you don't see that from the beginning the wheels were turning in his mind to dismantle this council of clowns, come on, man.
I love Council of Clowns, and Tej, I need you to respond to that. But let me let Making History. Thank you for joining the stage. This is what we watch. Happy What We Watch Wednesday. Tell us how you felt, because we're getting into it, honey.
Yeah, this was a special one. I agree a lot with the Game of Thrones references and um, tangentially to the Succession analogy you made with House of Cards. This was well. This for me, I was I'm old enough, unfortunately, to vaguely remember the original when it came out as a miniseries. I was a kid, but Moriko's point of view versus the engines was the first thing that you can see the effort making, making this story more sensitive to more people. It didn't lose anything; it actually gained. So getting into Ochiba and their relationship was so important. Like the last three episodes, even without the death and dismemberment that we probably were all expecting, still it really showed you the the creative nuances that the writers and the actors could put into the storytelling. Like this was a beautiful story about three people who were playing chess in a world full of checkers players, and
Okay. How many times are we gonna make the chess
that
checkers
listen,
reference?
I
I'm
because I
screaming.
do it.
Chris,
I
you took my bar. Hey, listen, a bar is a bar.
I
You're
know,
welcome.
but like
Okay.
Oh my god, not the
uh,
chess versus checkers, y'all.
because
You playing checkers.
I'm watching it. I'm watching it. I'm looking at Toranaga, and you can see the foreshadowing of how they told his story of how he even became a soldier and came into his prominence so young that it wasn't violent. It was very curious. Like if you look into his eyes, he's studying everything around him. So the fact that he knew Mariko better than anybody else, I think he was in love with her. I think he did have this romance or attachment, but it was very different. It wasn't it was irreverent and very like respectful. He even addressed it a few times where he just says, like, I see why your father wished you were a boy. I see why. I see these, and he's like laying these little markers down and saying like, okay, this is the girl. So why was she the one in position? Because surely there was another educated person who he could have chosen, but he knew something about her, and her death wish was a gift from him. Like she not only did she want to die and express that, but he gave it to her in a way that showed understanding that people are still trying to unravel, because he didn't send her to death. She was asking to
And
die.
let's sit with that, right? Because I feel like this is not a safe space, even though it is, but it isn't. We are all going to respectfully cook each other if we disagree.
Get it?
And thank you for allowing me to engage right now in making history. Um, I just want y'all to make note. First of all, her name is Mariko, not Mariko. It's Mariko, Mariko Sama. Uh, but I just want y'all to know that however y'all feel about Blackthorn, which we can get into right now if we need to, but however y'all feel about Blackthorn, my girl would rather die than stay alive and be with him. I want that to be noted for the record. It doesn't matter how y'all feel. It doesn't matter that y'all were okay with the romance. My girl would rather die, okay, than be with that barbarian, okay, that heretic, okay, that Unjin, okay, that kinda Hatamoto, which we'll get into that. But before we get back, because Tej, I really want you to like expound on the Toranaga, because
I need answers. I need answers.
I feel like you were defending him, but then you started off by saying, "Well, hold on, I see a couple of the." Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, yeah.
Good, good, good. Um, But you started off by like kind of barring him up a couple of times, and so I had to laugh when you started. You're like, you know what? We're gonna defend Lord Tornaga, but here's one and two things that I do understand that he did that I didn't like. But I want to pivot first to Blackthorn because I need to see what kind of people I'm amongst right now. I love what we watch. This is my baby. This is our world here. Real motherfuckers are here that understand film and television. But I need to know how y'all felt about Blackthorn. We gotta get it out of the way. And then we'll get back to the Mariko, big Mariko, not the little one. and Lady Ochiba. Tej, tell me how you felt about Blackthorn throughout this episode. Because here's my thing. Episode 1, pilot episode, Shogun FX, changed our lives. Shout out to this show. My first thing was, all right, Blackthorn gotta go. When is he dying? That was my third question. Okay. First two questions was like, oh, who is this? And oh, this is great. And who produced this and directed this? Third question, why is this, how long, when is this man getting killed? And he made it to the finale with us, guys. Tej, you know how I feel. Go ahead.
So I feel the same. I feel like it was a success for the writers because it would be very hard to adapt the source material where somebody who is a literal colonizer comes to a foreign land and falls in love with a Japanese woman while he is there to colonize her. Like that in itself is a tough thing to put on screen. It's even tougher to make it romantic. So that's basically impossible. And I will say that they were able when he makes that sacrifice for her because we didn't even make mention of it, but we should. There's a big set piece where she's basically trying to leave town with the people with his other wives, and he's basically with Tornaga's wives. He's basically trying to leave town with them, and they're being stopped by all these men, all these guards who have orders from Ishto to not let her leave the castle. So there's this big showdown and this is probably the most bloodshed that we ended up getting in the last couple episodes. There's all this there's this amazing fight sequence where her small army of guards fights the small army of guards at the door while everyone's watching from above, including Blackthorn is watching from above. So after she does some fighting on her own, they're not trying to kill her, but they're basically parrying her, so she gets a cool quote unquote fight sequence, even though she's not really fighting. Amazing dramatic acting, just more incredible work from Anna Sawai. Then she's going to commit seppuku, but he steps in as her second because she was going to have one of the Catholic council members as her second, but didn't show up. Obviously, Ishto told her not to show up, so he didn't show up to the ceremony. So Blackthorn steps in to be her second, and that romantic gesture of being willing to literally watch her kill herself, despite the fact that he loves her, is a very endearing thing to watch. And I will say, I felt romantic vibes. And Monique, you might remember, as soon as that scene happened, I leaned over to you and I was like, oh, Blackthorn is fucking tonight. Like, he definitely, if you are going to agree to kill that woman, he is getting some pussy tonight. It's
Do you,
happening. Monique was like, no, they're not. I was like, yes, they
can
are. They're
we
fucking tonight.
stop right there, though, and listen to the sentence you just said? Oh,
Was I
he was
wrong?
finna kill her. They fucking tonight. You hear what you just said? I mean,
This is the most romantic thing I've ever seen.
most romantic thing I've ever seen, guys. Unreal. Like top 3 show. Okay, I've seen a lot of great shows. Maybe top 2. You just said, and it was facts, and it was written and played out and produced perfectly. You was gonna kill me for me after I tried to commit suicide. You're getting some pussy tonight. That's a real storyline in Shogun. That is a real profound romantic storyline. This is television, guys. This is why we're here. This is what we watch is for. We have a heretic, a barbarian, a man that's been spat on and fucked up and just all kinds of things. And he gets to experience the most beautiful, talented, brilliant, well diverse, dynamic woman. Because again, wasn't she like raised Catholic or raised in one teach, and then like taught Christianity? Just anybody? I'm right, right? Like she,
Who, you're talking about
yeah,
Monaco?
like like she was like the dichotomy of like her like religion and her identity, right?
Yeah, she's Catholic.
She's Catholic, but then like she, that's why she had to like get blessed and her soul damnation for all the kind of other stuff. She speaks multiple languages. Like this is truly Big Mariko, not the little one. And we get this very, very specific kind of undercutting that was all designed by Lord Toranaga. So as much as we can get into him, this was all designed by him. He empowered Mariko. Lord Toranaga empowers women. Okay, remember that. He empowered Mariko to have a little bit of autonomy in her life that she's never had before, valued her, not as much as a man, because when would a man ever value women as much? What do we live in? This 2024, we still don't have that. Um, but then we get this moment where she has to kill herself, which still there's some autonomy in suicide, right? Sorry, this trigger words. Sorry, guys, but this is the show. Um, and she has that autonomy there. But the man that you cannot be betrothed to, that you had sex with one time, that might have put it down, because I don't know if y'all remember that scene where the lady was like, "Oh, I had a good time with him," whatever the case may be. So there was an idea there that he might have put it down on her. So shout out to him. If you gonna be with Big Mariko, not the little one, you need to put it down. But I say that to say, we get this moment that Tej was talking about where he is seconding her. What I thought was so profound about that is that this is not the first time that we're seeing somebody second another person, but this is the first time that we see it in a way that there is an honor, a closeness, and then on top of that, an intimacy and romance. We've seen it before where obviously you don't want some random bitch seconding you. You don't want some random motherfucker you don't like seconding you, right? But you don't always get to like have control and autonomy over that. But the opposite of that is not having someone you like or trust. It's having someone that you are absolutely deeply in love with privately. You can't tell anyone, or both of you will get shut the fuck down. And it's perfect. Seconding me for after suicide is like the epitome. Like, romance has peaked, guys. You tell me something more romantic than that. And so when T said, "Oh, they fucking tonight," I said, "Well, if they're fucking tonight, that means a man wrote this episode," which is fine. But I don't want that. Like, nah, they don't do that. Then they did, and I was like, fine. And he was, and teacher was like, "Oh, well, I see, I told you." And I was like, well, first of all, Mariko was about to go to bed. Even when he entered, even when Blackthorn entered, she thought it was somebody else, because boy, stay out my face. I'm about to die anyways. So I just think that the sentence that you just had to say, Tej, is crazy, but it's crazy that that is probably the most romantic thing any of us will ever hear of or experience. And it was set in a time that made sense because we are in Osaka, we are at the Crimson Sky, and this is a war. But the war was the internal war. That's what we're talking about here. Fuck all the bloodshed. It's the internal war. Yes, and my dog is having an internal war because I'm not giving him much attention. I want to welcome Lee to the stage, and Tej, I want to let you finish first because I know I interrupted you, but thank you. And then Lee, you can go.
Lee can go. I didn't think they were going to make me be able to feel anything towards the relationship between Blackthorn and Monaco. I didn't think that they were ever going to make me feel any kind of vibes, and I still obviously don't love it. But that is putting a grand romantic gesture in it like that really drove the point home, and I thought they did as good with the source material as you could do in that situation. I thought it was just a very genius way to present it, a complicated story.
Exactly. Lee, welcome. First time listener and watcher.
Yeah, hey everybody, good to be here. Yeah, awesome stuff, especially off of what you just said, Mo. Was you know, all the love, same for everybody with Mariko Sama, but I thought the biggest theme in the whole first season series, miniseries, was loyalty, right? And she's got this loyalty to everybody has their loyalty to their lords, and she has this loyalty to her husband that she's battling. Which, of course, this is one of her choices where she goes against that loyalty, goes with Blackthorn. She has this loyalty to Catholicism, and she's being torn with her religion. And so, but then she's the only woman who has the woman power to have people loyal to her, where people are changing their war plans for her. They're doing all this kind of stuff. And it sucks that she wasn't in the last episode, but I think it ultimately all came down to like these. I watched it for a second time today, and it was those two conversations. It was Blackthorn and Toranaga, and then my boy, what's his name, Yabushi guy. He gets his head cut off, and it's these philosophical conversations that they have with Toranaga about loyalty to the people they serve. They're talking about killing people who are quote unquote lesser people that are dying for them. They're calling out the hypocrisy. And Yubushiga, I think, is my favorite character for a sidestep. I don't think we've given him enough love. He's a torn character, right? He's always kind of conniving around, jumping sides, doesn't know how loyal he really is to Toranaga or not. And so you get this great conversation at the end about, forgive me, lost my kind of train of thought there, but just he's praising Toranaga, right? He's telling him, he's like, hey, you control the
Right.
wind. Meanwhile, he's like, nah, I don't control the wind. But meanwhile, he's also calling out for being a hypocrite. Give me your game plan. He's so torn. I think that's really what got me about this whole series is like loyalty. Blackthorn changes his loyalty to, when his
Yes.
conversation with Toranaga, he's like, my war is over. Like, I don't care.
Yep.
I've changed my mind. Everybody, most characters in the series have had a complete change of heart one way or another. Mariko, Blackthorn, Yubushige, and what we haven't seen yet is Toranaga, whether or not he's had a change of heart. We've all kind of been on the fence about whether or not he really does want to be Shogun or not. And that's the biggest tease, just to put my wrap on it, was that, as a Westerner, you did want that big battle sequence at the end. It was great. I think everyone here loves subtlety, and we love that it came down to more philosophical stuff. But at the end, as a tease, I don't know. I didn't read the book. I don't know how it's going to end. I don't know if he's going to be Shogun, all that stuff.
And
So
I agree, Lee. Like that's my thing. I would call it edging too. I think we were edged, which is fine. I mean, edging is fine, but I think we were definitely led to believe that thing, and then we, like you said, went the more philosophical route. And I totally agree. It is about loyalty, but it's like how flimsy is your loyalty? But is it flimsy though? And I want to hang on like this celebration of Yabushige because he was not my favorite. He was a little conniving sucker, but I kind of appreciate your perspective that he introduced a few like conversations that were very necessary to kind of even bolster Tornaga even more as this like chestnut. Just kidding. This very like conniving, meticulous trickster, right? Because there was in the episode, like episode 2 or 3, where they're telling about his father and his relationship. They called Tornaga a trickster. That's not particularly, I think it was maybe it was his brother, I don't know. But you guys remember when they were like, oh, he was like the trickster that was always a few steps ahead of everyone. Trickster is an interesting kind of translation for what was being said, because it almost seems like, you're trying to get one up on people. But then you see Toranaga eventually, he's like, I'm not trying to get one up. I'm not trying to trick people. I want people to fall. He put people in positions to make those decisions to let themselves see who they really are, right? And so he'd always say, "Yeah, send this person over there. They're gonna see this and watch how they respond," right? And so it's less about it's a trick, but it's such a he has so much power and understanding of human psychology and the culture and the tradition and loyalty, like you said, Lee, to where he knows that like I can just plant a seed and that flower is going to grow as fast as it wants to because I've planted the seed in this soil and with these people and they're going to act like this anyways. It's like if you send me a Twix, I'm gonna eat it. Now I might be on Twitter talking about the fact that I'm on a diet and I don't want no chocolate no more. But if T send me some Twix in a gift bag, I'm probably gonna go ahead and take the Twix. And so I feel like he's sending people like little bits of gifts and using Blackthorn as this kind of like decoy. And it's just, I know that analogy was crazy, but truly that was like the only way you can really get me is if you send me some Twix. You might be able to convince me of anything. I know it's kind of crazy, but I'm watching y'all. Now that y'all know, none of y'all can get over on me. But Teej, how do you feel about the Yabushige? Because here's the thing, I don't like no flip flopping ass bitch. I don't. Okay, shout out to Beyonce. But Teej, how do you feel about Yabushige?
Extremely compelling character that was playing a difficult game that was above his head. I mean, how did he ever think that? So when the scene where they're trapped in the castle after after Mariko has been, Ishto comes in and stops Mariko from killing herself, and then he plans this raid on basically all of Toranaga's people that are in the castle and all of the people who are, because when she gets her gets her walking papers, everybody immediately says, "I want my food." So now everybody realizes, wait, we can leave? Okay, we leave. And it's kill them.
Hold on, Teej. You're cutting up. You're cutting up. Is he cutting up for everyone else or just me?
Yeah, he's cutting up.
Okay, you're cutting up, Teej. I don't know if you want to come back in or go back to where you were, check your connection. Uh,
How do I
okay,
sound
you're
now?
good.
Keep the rabbit ears there.
So, so they are all the people. All Tornaga's people are, you know, basically in trouble because Yabashige has betrayed them. He's going to allow the soldiers in so they can slaughter all the people that were trying to leave the castle. And in that moment, I don't understand why he thinks that he's going to be able to get away with this and not be seen. So when he gets around them, he's acting like he's scared because they're under attack, but he's the one who let the attackers in. I just don't know what he thinks is gonna. I don't know how he sees it out. So he's not the smartest guy, and he basically played all his hand until his cards ran out, and he got what he deserved. But I thought it was a great scene between him and Toranaga on the way out. I thought it was a great scene.
I think so too. My next question that I want to hang over everyone's head real quick and just kind of think about it, and please come up and speak. Welcome, Dan. You're next. Thank you for raising your hand. I want to talk about who the villain is. I'm gonna stand on business that Lady Ochiba was the villain for a part of it, and I was like, "This is brilliant," and then she immediately like wasn't anymore, which was fascinating. And I love when a show just takes me on a ride like that. But I want to know who y'all think is like the villain here, or what is the villain, right? Sometimes the villain is capitalism and racism and just a philosophy and an idea or a social construct. Sometimes it is a person. So I kind of stood on the fact that it was Lady Ochiba just because I watch a lot of Japanese film and television, and her voice was very villainous with the cadence of Japanese villains. But also, just to expound on Yabushige, I think he expressed like what the kids like his didn't he have like his nephew or his son and then Lord Tornaga's son, which were really just like like Jeff said, the clowns. Like they were some clowns. They were legitimately some clowns, really weirdos that were just doing a bunch of shit that really had an effect in the earlier parts of the season. But then, like, really, just Lord Tornaga was like, I don't really have time for this type of bullshit. Y'all are being dumb as hell. Y'all don't really know what war is, right? What did he say to his son? He's like, men who've never fought in war are always so anxious for it. And as I say that sentence, I realize now that him not being in a war makes sense, right? Him avoiding a war and him doing everything that an army couldn't do makes sense because there were little moments where he was like, the art of war is like avoiding it. That's if you fought enough wars, you know that we don't want to go down this path anymore. I'm smarter than all of y'all. I'm about to be more powerful than all of y'all. And I know that it's going to take a lot of sacrifice. I'm going to lose my vassals. I'm going to lose my translator. I'm going to lose my son. Lord Tornaga has been grieving this entire time. And every scene we see him in, he's, you know, devout and he is stoic and he is smirking at, the rise and fall of his enemies. Like he's just such a calculated, revered person. And I really enjoyed that character. But Yabushige was just the antithesis of all of that. And I was like, ew, get Yabushige out of here. He wants to be big dog and he's not. And that's why I'm so glad that they let Lord Toranaga kill him. Because I was like, guys, Yabushige, you need to pick a side, okay? We still don't trust you. Pick a side and stay there, Yabushige. We don't trust you. I need Henry to come up so we can talk about Blackthorn. But yeah, that's my take. So talk to me, Dan, about who's the
Well,
villain.
I
Go
that
ahead.
question's a little too complicated for me right now. I got to think about that more. And you always just trying to find the villain so you can identify. But there is a lot to unpack in the last 10 minutes of conversation here. Yager, like I love him because he's hilarious, and I feel like the point of that character was that he kind of thought he was playing chess when everyone was playing checkers, but he's the guy playing checkers. Like everyone, he doesn't know it because it's like Dunning Kruger. Like when you're dumb, you don't know you're dumb. He doesn't know it, and it's just it's a great device to have as a for the writers and everything. Really great. The other thing I was thinking of was this is a little bit off, but you were talking about when Mariko was contemplating or trying to commit suicide, seppuku, and how you said that was like her only power left, or that would wait for her to have agency. And I'm not sure I fully agree with that. I think in Japan, the culture of suicide was so strange that I don't know if people have agency to do it, but it does. I think you're onto something, and it reminds me of um, Steve McQueen's first movie, before 12 Years a Slave and everything, Hunger. Which I don't know if you've seen that, but it's Michael Fassbender playing Bobby Sands, who was an IRA prisoner and died from a um, hunger strike. And those prisoners, all they thought they had was their agency to destroy themselves. And so when you're in the situation, I can see it, when you're in the situation she's in, where you're boxed in by society like 6 ways from Sunday. Like you have so many roles you're supposed to fulfill perfectly, and none of them are the kind of the one you want to fill. What can you do? Well, maybe you can do that. And so I just interesting. By the way, if any of you haven't seen Hunger, it's unbelievable.
I think I've heard of it, and
It's
I think
really it's rough. It's rough.
It's
It's
really
rough.
good.
Yeah, it's
I think
real.
I might have started it, and I need to. But I just, and I want you to continue if you have more to say, because I like where this is going. But I want to be clear about my autonomy comment, and maybe it's still where we
Go ahead.
are. But I don't think I wasn't saying that that was her last bid or that was her only way to death. I think because she was a woman that doesn't have any power, right, and has been through all this tragedy, I think it was in how, right? And the dialogue showed us in how she dies, right?
Hmm.
Not that she dies, not that she would rather live or die, but that, okay, death is pretty, much imminent. Like, I want to have some sort of control over how I die, meaning I don't want to die with my husband, right, which is that whole
Yep.
scene, beautiful scene with Bundara, meaning I don't want to die as a result of war and being thrown into that. She knew she wasn't going to die in that scene, or she didn't know, but like the plan was not to
Hmm.
fight these people, which is why she had the dialogue, I can't fight these people. She knew she didn't want to die serving another like man in the way that is like sexual or as a wife, right? She knew she wanted to have some sort of
Yeah.
power in how she died. And they fought her on there was no reason for her to go and block the explosion, right? Like I think my physics kicked in. I'm like, there was actually just like, okay, so you can't stop an explosion by standing at the doorway. You
Generally doesn't work.
it just, and also like you're not going to save anybody, like other people also die, so like
Yeah.
there was no reason for it. So I think that's where I got like the idea that, oh, this, she wanted to die. Now does she have a control over wanting to die? Probably not. This is society that pushed her to that, but she had some autonomy in how she died, and I think
Yeah.
that's what I was saying. But yeah,
I
go on.
100% agree with that. I think
Yeah.
that's some really good points. Um, the other thing is, I think it was Yumo who you said that people who haven't been to war love the idea of going to war, and I've been reading a lot about World War One lately. I think it's dad core shit. Um, and everyone on every side, it's that's true cross cultures, because in that war it was Russia, Germany, France, Austria, whatever, and all the people on all sides were like, we're going to have a hell of a time giving glory to our emperor or whatever, and then we're going to come back. Um, Same thing, oddly, is true in like Gone with the Wind with the Southerners, and that was also true in real life. And a lot of that movie was not true, but that part was. And like you have this naivety that seems to be cross cultural, seems to be universally human. Um, that is definitely true, and you know it was so true for Japan that it destroyed their society 400 years later. But it's just really interesting to think about it in that context. So I thought that was a really good
Yeah.
point.
I stole that bar from Toranaga, but what I will say is that I do say things like that, and Tej can attest to this. I love how this show is embedded in like what actually happened historically,
Hmm.
right? That's embedded in that, and I think what was so cool about that is the continuous little random placements of earthquakes too. So like we're talking about geographical historical accuracy too, which is so much fun. But I think like a quote that I say a lot is y'all not used to nothing. And I don't like nobody that's used to nothing. And that's essentially what Lord Toranaga was saying to his son. Like, because you're not used to war, you're over here dancing and prancing around and trying to start them. You want to just go start a war. You want to show you're
Yeah,
powerful. You've never been in it. You're not used to it. And that's why you acting out right now. But what you
yeah.
don't understand,
Act like you've been there, kind
act
of
like
thing.
you've been somewhere before. Act like you used to something. That's basically what Lord Tornag was saying. That's what I tell Tej all the time. I'm like, act like you used to. I'm just kidding.
So,
But truly, like, act like you're used to something because what happens as a result of war? You have to rebuild. What did he say so many times about the strategy that everyone was trying to figure out? You got all this little bit of dialogue to Tija's point. That's the heart of Game of Thrones. It's two people on a screen talking shit to each other, or trying to like evade a certain thing, or trying to betray somebody else, or trying to take over something. Like that's Game of Thrones. It's two people in a room, whether somebody's about to die or not. We're trying to figure out what
it's
secrets,
conniving. Everyone's
lies,
conniving.
all kinds of stuff. And those moments where we have these little like tidbits of people trying to figure out what Tornaga's gonna do, even as an audience, we're like, what is he gonna do? We think we know because we're like, we watch television, we know what's gonna happen. But then, really, at the crux of all of this is like, after you fight a war, you lose a ton of men. And he kept saying that. If I go to Osaka with my little 300, Gladiator 300, whatever that movie was, we're going to die. We're going to lose. And rebuilding a society with the people that I want, with the power that I want, is not going to go well. I have to play chess, not checkers. Okay.
Yeah.
I hate
One
that.
one
But
last
go ahead.
okay, one last thing, which is
Yeah.
the Tornaga. I do think we should, and I don't think anyone's really saying the opposite, but like, dude is manipulative as fuck. Like, he's doing everything he's doing for a reason. Like, he's not doing it to like help out other people. Really, he's doing it as part of a larger scheme that he can like kind of rise above in a lot of ways. So I think he's awesome, but like he's got an agenda.
It's
Um,
interesting you say that, right? Because, like, we only have a problem with people's agendas if we disagree with the
but
morality or the goal that they
yeah,
have.
he's the good guy, so it's okay. But I mean,
Yeah, but
he's
you're
got
100% right.
the last thing I'll say is how funny it is that the fucking Celtics lost tonight. Hilarious. So
I'm having the time of my life. I'm a Heat fan. So I'm talking about Shogun tonight. It's what we watch Wednesday, the Heat one. I'm having a great day. How are y'all? How are y'all feeling? Anybody have an answer for me on I want to welcome Henry to the stage. Henry, can we have our Blackthorn moment before we get into the villain conversation?
Not you summoning me like Lady Jessica in the first Dune movie. Use the voice. Use the
Use the
voice.
voice. I
Can
want my ship.
I want my guns and my ship. And Mariko-sama, tell her that she can become a Catholic woman, even a nun, perhaps. If it's at all possible, I would like my ship returned to me in pristine condition.
Look,
Wow,
Holy shit, that's good.
that's
this is
crazy.
fucking good. I want my ship. And
That's
I want my
crazy.
men. I want my ship. Here's the thing. I write Blackthorn. First, I let a 4-year-old write Blackthorn. It's I want my ship and I want my men. We saw the end of this show is Blackthorn still being alive, which hate that. Why is he still alive, guys? Come on, we gotta be honest, guys. We can kill him.
white.
Source material be damned. Come on, guys.
Tornaga
He's
said,
alive because Monaco saved
yeah,
him
not only
on purpose.
that, but Lord Tornaga, okay, big one, not the little one,
Not the
said,
little
look,
one.
he makes me laugh. And I still need Teach to answer for the fact that he doesn't think that Tornaga is him and wants
Look,
to actually be Shogun. Like I can't believe he really said that and we're moving on. Like that's
I
crazy.
I hate for me.
I think that he is him, but I don't think. I think that I'm talking. I'm only talking about his motives. I think his motives were to help people. He realized he had no choice but to step into the role, and I think this is. I think
Whose
what
motives? I'm
the
sorry, whose
writers are
motives?
Tornaga's
Okay.
motives.
So he did
So
you
he was
disagree with
forced. He was
Damon. Okay,
forced
go
to
ahead.
just rule. So what you're saying, Teach, is that poor Lord Tornaga was just forced to bend the wind to his will, and leave, like I said, the Council of Clowns out in Osaka to run a paradise in Edo. That's not his plan. He just the card just fell that way, right?
Go.
He looked at the board,
I want you to.
and that's what happened.
I like that, Jess, because Jess and Dan disagree with you, Teach. But I want to let you get your bars off, Teach, because I, I'm into it. Go ahead, Teach.
So you have to let's remember the fact that Tornaga started when we meet him. He's on the council with these doofuses. Unfortunately, I think he realized I would rather sit in Edo and chill and mind my own business and be at peace. But if we let these bozos run everything, holy shit, some shit's gonna go wrong. Unfortunately, I happen to be the most qualified to rule, and I'm the only one who can avoid certain war, so I'm going to do that.
And
But
let's talk
obviously,
about
he
as
he
someone.
he is him. So it came like this is he is him. He knew that he was him, and at any point that I want to get out there and show y'all that I'm Michael Jordan, then I could easily show y'all that I'm Michael Jordan.
And,
I was trying to hold back on y'all, but now I got to show you
and
everything.
Tej, thank you for saying that because now I really am like I feel Lord Tornaga. Like he is me and I am him. Okay, I am her. Because like, come on, maybe you can't relate, guys. But when you're him and when you're her, there's a heavy burden. Okay, it's a heavy burden. Unfortunately, I have to run shit now. I didn't really want to, and there's a lot of work that comes with this. But like when you're her, you just all right, I'll do it. Damn, cause y'all gonna run us to the ground. And unfortunately, I am a part of the society, but y'all gonna run us to the ground. So yes, I am gonna take it up, and that's what I think I said to Dan. I'm like, it's funny because he is manipulative as fuck. He's sending people out to do his work. He chilling. Think about how we thought that we were gonna get Shogun. We were gonna get Shogun. We were gonna get Lord Toranaga. We were gonna get the war. My guy was essentially having conversations this entire season. He had a couple conversations and swung his sword maybe twice. Honestly, my guy was chilling the whole time. He was chilling. What did Toranaga do? Except chill and tell people what the fuck to do. It's a big mood to me. Me personally, relatable.
See, but that's what I'm saying. That's the point, right? Like this character comes across like he thought multiple steps ahead of everyone and everything around him. I think if the earthquake didn't happen and if he didn't lose half of his men, maybe we would have got the bloodshed that we were expecting. If his son wasn't a clown and couldn't play his role, maybe things would have ended up differently, right? Like I think clearly, thank you, Tej. I'll give honor and respect where it's due. You said he's MJ. He's absolutely MJ. Like I'll come off you for a minute because that was facts. Those were the bars right there. But I think like you're watching this character in real time, like to the point where his left and right hand men and women know when to commit seppuku, like in front of a council of people who are afraid of what his plan is, just so that it's believable, right? He put Blackthorn and that was it Bantoro, the guy who ended up betraying him. Like he knew that they had to get
Yeah.
to Osaka as well, right? He knew that Mariko had to be on that boat. Like I think to me it's it's very clear that even like I think in episode 2 or 3, like he talks about people being birds of prey with different skills, different uses, different
Oh my god,
purposes.
I love
Like he makes it very clear like
I
he's
love that quote.
he's him, bro. Like so to me I
He's
just
been
thought it
here.
was interesting. It was
Okay,
very
so is
interesting to see it play
is
out that
Lord
way.
Toranaga more like MJ or more like LeBron?
I like the MJ comp. I like the MJ comp, even though I get the LeBron comp because LeBron is very cerebral. LeBron is he Jokic? Is he Jokic? I don't know. Like what let's talk
Oh
about it.
wow,
Let's talk
Jokic.
about it. The court
I
vision.
don't
He
want to talk
sees the
about Jokic.
floor. I don't know. But sure, I like the LeBron comp because LeBron, similar to Toranaga, he sees things in 4D when everybody's looking in 2D. Like, hey, maybe he is LeBron. Maybe.
But he also has his own agenda to get championships. Slash.
See, and then that's the other thing I want to
Well,
call
maybe.
Mo and Teach. I also want to call to the carpet your idea that Toranaga doesn't want to do this, that he's doing this reluctantly. I think from the jump, even when he was on the council, he looked to the left and to the right and said, "Clowns, clowns, gowns, beautiful gowns. Who is she?
No,
I don't know her."
no.
He was
He
not feeling them. He was not feeling them from the
he
jump.
didn't. I no. There's way too much evidence now, especially now that we're talking that he didn't want no war. He was like, I
But
don't
that
want.
doesn't mean he doesn't want the power, though. This is my thing.
Yeah,
We can
that's
talk
what
about the
power. Yeah,
war. He doesn't want the war and the bloodshed. That's
he
fine.
don't want to
But
lose
to
no more
say he
men.
doesn't want to be shogun, to say that he doesn't want his paradise in Idu, that's
I
a
I
very
agree
different
with
thing.
that. Yeah, I don't want us to conflate those ideas.
Let's not that
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. He didn't want no more bloodshed or the result of war and the rebuilding that I was saying earlier that's required after war, which is why he looked at his son like, please shut the fuck up talking to me.
Exactly.
You
And,
ain't
and
never
let,
gonna
let's
know
even like
more
call
until you're
that back.
excited
He
about it.
doesn't want unnecessary bloodshed because clearly he's fine with some people dying if they
True.
gotta die for the higher
True.
purpose. But the
True.
war, he wasn't about that life. But he definitely
Yeah, because
wants
it
the power.
wasn't. Yeah, the strategy didn't make no sense. He's like, I got 215 of these motherfuckers. They got 1,000. Henry, I want to let you speak too because here's the thing. I'll start it off. Dan said this might be a difficult. We gotta think about it a little bit more. I don't have to think about it too long. The villain is Blackthorn, and will remain Blackthorn this entire time for me. If you want to convince me otherwise, maybe there's a number two on the villain list. I'm willing to hear number two. But number one, actually, I lied. I'm not willing to hear number two. Number three, maybe. But number one and number two is Blackthorn. Henry, please feel free to talk to me. Thank you for doing the voice.
Oh my god.
Best
I
voice.
don't know. This might be the easy basic answer, but I feel like Ishido was the villain. Like I feel like from episode one, Ishido's main goal was getting the council on his side to get him out of there. Am I off base with that or
And let's talk about Ishido, right? Because we have to talk about him because
because going back to whether or not Toranaga wanted power or not, it's like not wanting power results in him getting his head cut off. I feel like he was on the defensive and the offensive at the same time. It's very weird.
remind me, did Ishido die? He's alive, right? Like as if we were
No,
continuing to show the show.
yeah, he lived at the
He's
end.
lit. Here's my thing.
I think you assume that he dies when you show that he's going to surrender because the army's not standing with him. I think it's safe to assume that he dies. We don't see him die.
Okay, sounds like we need a what we watch poll. Lee, do you think Ishido is dead or alive in episode 11?
Yeah, it's kind of a hypothetical projection of what's going to happen if there were to be a second season. That's what you'd see, right? Like the
He dies.
surrender, the further play down the line, and then
He dies.
I don't know whether or not that's a dead, but that's definitely like
I
okay,
mean,
you
if you
lost,
go by
you
the
torn
book,
out,
he dies.
you lost the
Just
game.
want to go by the
Yeah.
book.
Not if you go by the book. He dies. Not I read
Who?
the book. Not the I read the book brigade. Love that.
Didn't read the
Jess.
book. Just saying.
Wait,
Jess, is he dead or alive?
the Jap
This matters.
the Japanese were not into taking prisoners, ever, ever.
Yeah, no, he's dead. He's cooked. It's a
Okay.
wrap.
If he's dead, then I think I appreciate the comment, Henry, in bringing him in. The only reason I was hesitant is because we all thought. I mean, if you were watching the show at episode 5 and you didn't, go any spoilers, and you haven't read the book, and you aren't just perfect in this world, then you think that at some point he is definitely, if nothing else, at least the antagonist, right? And then you find Lady Ochiba go and big dog him in that one beautiful, perfect scene, which is probably like episode 6 or 7, maybe 8. And I'm like, oh shit, maybe Lady Ochiba is the real villain because she's really the puppeteer or the ventriloquist. And Ishido is just kind of the face of clowns, just to your point. I really like this council of clowns. I really like that. And so I was almost like taken aback. But if he dies, that gives him a little bit more of a storyline. Again, he didn't die in the show, in what we saw, but I'm willing to hear, like, is he the biggest villain? Because he did cause a lot of issues for Lord Toranaga. If Lord Toranaga is our protagonist, our center, our hero. But I don't even know if Lord Toranaga is our hero. I know I'm throwing a lot at you guys. Please, Dan, Lee, talk to me. Or Henry. No, I'm sorry. Hold on. Henry, please finish. Go
Well,
ahead.
no, I was just gonna say. I feel like overall, like Ishido is obviously threatened by how close Toranaga and the Taiko were. So, okay, Ishido's like, well, shit, I gotta make a move for this power vacuum. So, what do I need to do? I need to get the council on my side to do it. So, yeah, I feel like Ishido had it out for Toranaga since day one. So, and then with Lady Ochiba, I feel like her motivations were more so like, she just wanted revenge because she was operating off of the pretenses that Toranaga had her dad killed. So, I don't know if I would classify her as a villain more so. Maybe she just had valid motivations.
I mean, that could be very subjective, but I agree. I think Ishido, from a literary definition and perspective, is definitely like the most accurate, like, again, from a literary perspective, definition of a villain. You're moving the plot forward. The things you do inhibit and prohibit the protagonist or whatever the fuck from getting the shit done. You always, playing chess and checkers. Somebody do me a chess and checkers counter in this. Now I'm just fucking with y'all. But so I like that. I that was not my answer, but I like that. Maybe Ishido is the villain, but like he kind of pussy. Sorry. Tej, what do you think?
I just want to point out one of my favorite things about the season. Obviously, Ishto, like Henry said, is correct. Ishto is at of Tornaga because of their position and Tornaga is the top.
Okay,
Also,
readjust,
Tornaga is the
readjust. You're cutting
samurai
up.
below.
You're cutting up. You're cutting up. Readjust, readjust for me.
Is that
Sound like
better?
Tornaga shutting down your Wi-Fi, brother. Tornaga said, "Cut the show."
Tornaga is Tornaga is also like old. You know, he is of the samurai, so he could be Taiko. Whereas Ishdo was somebody who had, risen a lot in life, but had humble beginnings. So when Mariko stands up and says, "I am the descendant of the samurai," she's saying that to Ishdo. That's such a big deal because she's saying like, "I come from the samurai families, the great families, and you don't."
Bitch.
She didn't say that you don't, but it's
Correct.
implied that you don't.
You a
So she
bitch
really
to
was
me, so
snapping on
don't
that.
interrupt me. Period. Go ahead.
That's it.
I get excited about Mariko because that was a great scene. Sorry for interrupting you, Teach. But women should be able to speak. Thank you. Shout out to Big Mariko. No, I like that you brought that up. Yeah, I think Ishido was just too pussy for me to like, and I know it's kind of interesting for me to use that term, but I think it was too weak for me to really like give me villain. And the only reason I said it is because in my head, the villain is the big bars. We got big bars. We get big power. We get, you're the puppeteer. You're the one that like what I say absolutely goes. And I feel like we only had sprinkles of moments in each episode where what Ishido said goes. But then on the larger side of it, everything that Toranaga did was in a game with Ishido. So maybe he is the big bad villain. Go ahead, making history.
Ishido definitely was the antagonist villain for me the whole time. The I get the Ochiba kind of her intersection where she makes a power play over him. I think that's again showing how they use femininity and masculinity, kind of turning it on its head, because that was a really pivotal episode for all the women characters. And then pussy is apropos because he showed his weakness so many times. Like his everything that he did was playing to his advantage, and everything Toranaga did was in response to what he saw was going to happen. Ishido never cornered him. He never trapped him. If you want to throw in a basketball analogy, he
And
just played.
that, go ahead.
He played him one on one the whole time. And Ochiba, the reason I don't charge her with any kind of villainy is because they also pull back the layer of her being protective of her son, and that motivation I felt like was more important to her in the sense that he was the rightful heir. And so for Ishido it's just like, okay, yeah, let's get married and let's do this because he's expedient. But Shiba is more like, I am thinking about not just my life but my life through the lens of this child that I have to see propelled to this point. So she wasn't I feel like she was more she was very determined and very villainesque, and like you said, in her tone, but in her motive, it seemed very pure to me. It didn't seem like very
Hmm.
power grab.
Yeah, and I was immediately thrown off of that kind of thought when I was like introduced to it when we said it because TJ, you and I were speaking, right? And it was like, is she like really, is it about the Taiko and the air and like she gets to control? Like what's this conversation with Ishido? But then like immediately after that you get the very heartfelt, tragic, friendly Lady Ochiba scenes with Mariko Sama. So my thing with the Ishido introduction, and I want to let Teej speak, and then Dan and Lee, please chime in. Is Teej in there, guys? I'm wondering what, because he says he's not in it, but now he is. Okay, let's see. My thing is, what did Ishido actually do? What did Ishido actually do? What did he do in this show? Can besides maybe make it hard
got
for Toranaga to
cooked.
get back into the council when he didn't want to be. What did he do?
Hey, I didn't say he was an effective villain. I just said he was the villain. We ain't talking about him being strong or non-pussy or
I,
nothing. I'm just saying.
I'm the resident villain apologist, and I love my villains. I need my villains to do something, a la Omni Man. Okay, I need them to be. Anyways, go ahead, Teach. What are we thinking?
I think the villain is Lady.
Okay, am I the only one that can't hear Teach?
I can't
Okay,
hear him at all.
Teach,
I would.
your audio is terrible. Get off Wi-Fi, get on Wi-Fi, or move around. Lee, Dan, I've submitted my vote. It's Blackthorn. Hated him.
Well, I have a question about that, but I want to make a quick point when you're talking about. First of all, is he LeBron or Jordan? It's LeBron because he's playing mind game. I mean, Jordan just would tell you straight up like I'm the fucking do this. You know, I'm gonna kill you and I'm gonna score 60 and you're fucked. LeBron's like doing passive aggressive tweets, saying, you
Thank
know,
you.
well, I don't want to fire Darvin Ham. I said that my ham last week that I had in the sandwich was bad. Like all this kind of bullshit of it. And I feel like Tornaga's the same way of denying. It's like my ex mother-in-law. Jesus Christ, like all, yeah, but
Not the
like
personal stuff coming out.
yeah, a
Period.
little too much. But like it's just if you know someone who's really passive aggressive, that's what he's bringing. So I think that's LeBron. I love LeBron. I mean, I'm from Cleveland. I love LeBron. Like he's passive aggressive as fuck. Um,
Yeah, like it is what it is. It's effective. To Henry's like word, I love that word. It's effective until it isn't, but like it's effective enough.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
we're not really we're planting seeds. We're saying things. We're being passive
Yeah,
aggressive.
we're having
We're like
deniability when we need deniability.
we're like undercutting people when they try it. We're introducing like
Yeah,
things that may not have anything to do
and
with
yeah,
it, but
yeah.
just
Now it helps they have an amazing actor playing that role that can
yes.
give you all those complications all at the same time. So you don't need to say it's good or bad. It's just all those things at once.
Yeah,
Um,
and
and
I think it's true to his character. I
yeah, absolutely.
go ahead about the villain thing because
So
I'm telling you, Ishido
well,
didn't really do nothing for me.
it's interesting that you and Tej both identified so much Tornaga and saying he's him. It just shows it's your humility why we love you, Mo. You know. But my question is, why is Blackthorn the bad guy for you? Because you said he is, but
Oh,
I just want to hear your reasons. I mean, I just am
I would
interested
love
in
to.
the reasons. Yeah.
I want Tej to test his audio one more time. Tej, are you good or are we not good? Because we got just a couple minutes left in the space. Tej, want to hear from you. Your audio, unmute. Maybe not. Okay, going once, going twice. Okay. Okay. Please remember when we met Blackthorn. He was shaking his men. He was shaking his men in that damn whatever pit he had him in, watching his people boil up and die. This guy from jump was there to infiltrate as a white diseased colonizer. Okay, I don't think I have to say anything more, but I will. He was a white diseased colonizer infiltrating the land and being deceitful from jump. That is in and of itself a villain. I don't need to say anything more, but I will. Then he continues to try to assimilate and learn the language. And as we're watching, and you guys tell me if you're something different, if you felt something different, but as we're watching it, you're like, he still just wants his ship. And now you're fucking the women of the place, which again, I'm sure that was consensual. Nevertheless, you know what that can mean and what type of punishment can come if you guys are found out. Then you overplay your hand when you are being used as a pawn by Lord Toranaga. Then you overplay that. Rondo, hush. You overplay that and you try to like enjoy your power and introduce guns and try to fight in the name of love. And it's just, I think he's the villain to me because he was so on his own course that he distracted other people from their courses and stepped out of line so much. Even Lord Tornaga said it at the end. He's like, all right, man, like, I need you to remember that, like, you're not my counsel. You're not a sounding board for me to, like, go to you and figure out. I asked you one time to teach my men some cannons, and you jumped out the window, honey. You need to calm down. You have no power here. I could kill you the second I wanted to. But he walked around like he had the big shoes on, and it was just like, you are the true person that has a specific agenda, and you couldn't even stand on business. You got taken down by love, which is like, that to me is just the most, that's a big
That's business.
liability.
That's business to me. To me, romance is business.
But to me, that's why Blackthorn is the villain here, because we remove Blackthorn. And honestly, like, what does the show look like without Blackthorn? We probably get a war. We probably get bloodshed. We probably get a few more. We probably still get the women empowerment, but we get less of the bullshit and less of the, talking shit behind people's back and less of the undercutting and less of all of that. Maybe we don't get the cannons right, but did we do anything with cannons on the ship? No, we didn't, which is why his ship got sunk in the end. You are the problem. You're the problem. You are a white, diseased colonizer, and you came in here and you tried to assimilate to the culture, not even with reverence. You talked shit behind people because you didn't speak Japanese. When you learned Japanese, you still talked English and talked shit to people. You never adhered to tradition truly. And not to say that tradition was great. I mean, people were killing themselves left and right, committing seppuku. But that to me is why Blackthorn is the real fucking problem here, because he was used as a toy and then tried to step outside of that role way too many times for me, and didn't even succeed, and didn't even ew. Now again, literary definition: a villain moves the plot forward. I think he did move the plot forward because we had to dangle him around all the time, and then to be like, he pissed me off, and then to be Mr. Feminist in moments that were convenient. Blackthorn, please, in my country, we blah 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 blah, and the women don't have power in your country either. Please shut the fuck up. Please shut the fuck up. You are fucking the game up right now. You are about to get one of us accidentally slit in the throat, one of us accidentally stabbed in the stomach. Blackthorn, please stop talking. That's why he's a villain. He talks too much. Stop talking. Way too much talking. That's why your men don't fuck with you. That's why your ship is sunk. That's why your girl is dead. Because you are not shit. Shut up. Stop talking. Anyway.
I don't appreciate being characterized unfairly. Be on a mission for God and country to explore the Japans. The Japans. The Japans. The Japans.
I fucking hated that guy. Now, they did get me. They got me with the seconding and the sex. They got me, and I hate that for me. I genuinely, like, let's focus on me for a second. I was grieving, guys. I agree. I was grieving because I had to like this romance. I hated it for me. It was really tough for me, guys. I was like, damn. Tej, you know how I felt. Please, hopefully your audio's good. You know how I felt about that. I was like, damn. 10 episodes and they got me. They got me with the romance. 10 episodes. Motherfucker.
It just attributed to great writing, and also that I truly think that that is a star-making performance for Anna Sawai, and we're going to see a lot of her going forward. She popped off the screen for 10 episodes, and I cannot wait to see what she does next. Put her in everything. She is incredible.
Okay, but hold on. Finish your villain point or counterpoint to any.
Oh, I didn't have a lot there. I said that the villains were, I had Ishto and Lady Ochiba as the villains, but also Blackthorn, because fuck Blackthorn for every reason that you said. Fuck it.
Period. Anybody else want to speak on Lee? Please speak on the villain because it is Blackthorn. So just speak on the third villain because Blackthorn is top two.
It's not Blackthorn.
No,
Blackthorn's an anti-hero.
fuck him.
If anything, I didn't like the actor. I wasn't in love with the actor.
Oh my
But
shit.
and yeah, he's a conflicting guy, and yeah, he's a colonizer, so there's not a lot to love there. But he has an arc as a character, and he, his conflict with the culture is partly comedic. It's
It
partly,
was.
I mean, it's what's interesting again as a Westerner watching this awesome production that's produced by mostly Japanese crew and all that stuff, and I'm sure that's what the book's about too, and all that stuff. But it's obviously Ishido is, I think, the one who drives the story. He's the one who's conniving for power, even though there's actually a lot of arguments for a lot of great stuff he did that was pretty smart and conniving against Toranaga, but
Like,
ultimately I
what
felt
are?
like he
Can
was
you
almost
name
an
one?
impotent villain.
Can you name one? What did Ishido do? I'm willing.
Ishido, he would yeah, he would kind of be the worm in the ear that would like have the cousins or the nephews like conniving about starting a war, all of a sudden, making it look like somebody was after power. He was always trying to make it look like Toranaga was after power when it was really him. And he was the one trying to get the Regent Council to all together. And Toranaga, it was basically a back and forth from different parts of the country,
Yeah.
battling it out, a game of wits. And if it wasn't for Ishido, none of it would have happened. I think Toranaga would have stayed in his corner and waited it out with the heir, and then eventually taken power. But Ishido knew that that was the ultimate game plan, so he was feisty and wanted to kind of
Yeah.
start this whole thing.
I think the first and last thing that Ishido did was vote him out. That was the first and last thing. I hear you, but for me, with the shit with the council was always at odds. They could never agree on shit. Every time we got a scene with them clowns sitting in the damn Osaka, they couldn't agree. So I'm like, you're not even doing a good job at your job, bro. So maybe yes, you are the villain, but you're not doing a great job. Like you can't even get your
I I I agree. He was almost comical in his
yeah, like
impotence of
bro.
it, but yeah.
And then to me, like the strategies that he had, every time it got back to Toranaga, Toranaga gave you the little trademark smirk and went on about his
And he looked
business.
and he looked like a little tuck going after Lady Oshiba. He's like, oh come on, man.
and did, and
He
did,
was he was looking thirsty as hell.
and did, and did. Go ahead, making history.
Yeah, the only reason I can't get on the Blackthorn villain train is because they really exposed him as like the least important character in this whole fucking 10 episodes. Like
And did.
when you said what would this have looked like without him, I literally thought about that every episode. Like what? How would this have played out if he wasn't here? Because he's fucking unnecessary. He wasn't. He didn't even give me Killers of the Flower Moon villainous. Like he couldn't stir anything in me. Passion, fucking fear, nothing. He was just hapless
Nothing.
and there.
He gave us nothing. He gave the girls nothing.
I mean, he's a character device from a novel from the 50s that needed a white guy to
That's it. That's
bring it
it.
in. I don't, it's
You're right. You're
They
right.
did a
That's the
great
only.
job of turning the point of view so we didn't
You're
have
right.
to look through his eyes the whole 10 episodes, because thank God.
You're right, and I think maybe that's why you're right. That's a good point. That makes me want to remove him from the villain. So basically, I'll put him in the bitch category. He a bitch. You can't even.
fair.
You're useless. How did you come in and we literally thought that you might be like pivotal in this, and you went through the whole show thinking you were like, this is fantastic writing. This is like this show is what it is because of shit like this. Why is Blackthorn even here? But every single scene was compelling because of who he was with. Because standing alone, it's like, why is this motherfucker here? Who's gonna kill? Every time he was on screen, I was like, is he finna die? Is someone finna kill him? Which I guess is like, which like added some color to each of the episodes because I'm like, oh my goodness, he finna say something that's finna get his head chopped off, and that's all I was waiting for the whole time. Who is Ishido? I know. You hear my son; he is like going crazy right now. He wants something to say about Shogun. You watch Shogun with us. My last thing before we wrap up, this is what we watch Wednesday. I have some good news. My film festival is coming in August. Please visit whatwewatch.net/events. And please come in. We're going to talk. We're going to basically have this camaraderie that we have here, but in person with the energy and with fantastic independent filmmakers. This is my second annual film festival. It is insane. I don't think any of you have ever put on a film festival. It is a ton of work, but it excites me and it just makes my eyes sparkle. And I just love everything that we're doing at What We Watch. We're also going to have an app. What We Watch is going to have an app. You heard it here first. So a lot of great things coming. I'm so glad that you guys are a part of it. You're basically a part of my marketing, my promo. You being here is why What We Watch exists. Also you, Rhonda. Thank you. Be quiet. My last comment, though, is on the Game of Thrones thing. This is just me being petty because the producer said that it's more Succession, House of Cards. Meh, 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 meh. Last question to wrap this Shogun finale chat up. Ishido. Who is Ishido in Game of Thrones? Who is Toranaga in Game of Thrones? Okay, Rondo, we got it. We get it, bud. Go ahead.
Toranaga is Ned Stark if Ned Stark had watched film.
Okay, did Ned Stark make it past season 1?
He did not. No,
Yeah.
he ain't
Okay.
watched no
Well,
film. That's the problem.
neither did Ish though.
Yeah.
Neither did he. Okay, TJ, what do you think? I know you don't have to have something off the top of your head. You got to think a little bit. But who is Ishido and who is Toranaga in this? And who is Mariko?
I would say Ishido is Ramsey Bolton.
Whoa. Okay. What do y'all think?
I was thinking more Baratheon, but Ramsey's a little hardcore.
I think at heart, I think I'm with. I think Teach is onto something. I think there's something there.
I was thinking Daddy Lannister.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Yabi
I think Lady Ochuba is Daddy Lannister.
Yabashugi was for sure Littlefinger. That much I know.
For sure,
For
Littlefinger.
sure Littlefinger.
He was the dumb version of Littlefinger. I mean, Littlefinger
No,
was
Literally.
dumb,
Littlefinger was pretty
but
dumb.
Yabashige
But
was comically dumb.
Yeah. Okay.
Littlefinger was
That we
dumb
all
as
saw.
fuck. But Littlefinger just had better bars than Yabashige. You at least wanted to listen to Littlefinger because he would at least make some sort of sense in his little stupid ass world, but he was still stupid. Lady Ochiba, is nobody Cersei? Nobody Cersei?
Who could possibly ever hope to be Cersei? I don't
Period,
think there is a
hun.
Cersei.
That's what I like to hear.
Lady Elena, she might have been, but not Cersei.
Lady
She's
Ochiba is Lady Olenna. I like that. A mother. A mother.
Joffrey, insane
I want her to
entitlement.
know it was me. You said what?
Joffrey, insane entitlement. Kind of an
Cersei,
asshole.
Cersei,
I
man.
don't know.
Who,
Throwing it
who
out
is
there.
Joffrey? Who is Joffrey?
I was saying maybe Lady What's Her Face.
No, Lady Ochiba, no. Not what
She's got a lot of entitlement and all this stuff.
Okay,
But
who is the
you know,
son? Speaking of sons in this, being sunned, who is Lord Tornaga's son? Is that a ooh, that's giving
Theon Greyjoy.
yep.
yeah, he's giving Theon.
100%.
He's definitely giving Theon.
I'm gonna tell you who Ishido
Who is
is.
Ishido?
Stannis Baratheon.
Hot damn!
that's
I
what
Yes.
think we got it.
Yes.
yeah.
We got it, guys. Yes. Because people forget. But you know what? Wait, now I'm thinking about it. Stannis. Okay, the only thing I will say is,
Stannis wanted the throne. He wanted it at all costs, and
but you're right.
he
Stannis did
overstepped.
do. Stannis did more than Ishido, but he still didn't really do shit. Which is, you're right. I like that.
And was very
And who did we say Toranaga was? Did we say that? Tej, did you say who Toranaga was? Hello? Anybody?
I'd say he's Dinklage. Like
Yeah,
super smart, playing everyone behind the scenes. I mean, he's more in front because he's got the army, but like the way he plays people, I think I'd go with
Yep. Motive and MO or modus operandi,
yeah, more that than
but not the character, like the character in full, though. But I see what you're
Maybe he's Jon Snow.
that's closer.
See, it's tough because
I like Ned, but I like now Jon Snow too. I can see
He
both.
wanted the Shogunate though, so he can't be Jon Snow. Jon
I
Snow didn't want no
was
power.
just about to say now, Jon
I
Snow,
don't want
because
it.
it's between
and also
Tyrion.
Jon Snow wanted to be in the front lines and doing all kinds of crazy stuff all the time. He loved a little war, a little
Yeah,
fight.
I
But
think Tyrion used his the fact that he could never ascend to power to his advantage, and Toranaga never had that. He knew he could ascend to power, so he didn't have that disadvantage that Tyrion had. But Jon Snow, I could see that do-gooder kind of somewhere in between those two.
okay,
problem
okay.
is that the
Well,
writers
this is
shit
all.
the bed.
What you say, Lee?
The problem is that the writers shit
I
the
was gonna.
bed at
I,
the end, so it's hard to compare Toranaga to anyone like uh, the imp. I can't think of his name, or my man that was didn't have balls. They got lit on fire. It's because they made him stupid at the end. So it's hard to compare Toranaga to those people that were plotting the whole time in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Lee, go ahead.
I mean, I'll rattle it off. I would say Ned Stark was Toranaga. Jon Snow, the foreigner always in a foreign land. That's Blackthorn, and Daenerys is Mariko. Mariko.
I like this. I'm not mad at it at all. Any rebuttals there? I'm not mad at it. I like everything we've introduced mostly, but I think I like the Stannis Baratheon the most. But Mariko and Daenerys, that's actually too easy. I don't know why we didn't say that earlier. It's definitely that. It's definitely giving that. But thank you guys so much. That was really just proof as we grow as a business, as a company, and most importantly as a community. The Shogun was beautiful and captivating storylines, great production, great cinematography, the music, the historical accuracy, the geographical kind of, elements. I mean, just we had amazing performances by all of the characters, especially Anna. Shout out to you. We can't wait to see you in more stuff. This is What We Watch. Thank you for joining us on What We Watch Wednesday, and stay tuned for more coming from the brand and the community. Bye. Thank you, Teach.
Good day to you.
Good day.